There are some Democratic members of the U.S. Congress who say they have enough support to pass the Senate's comprehensive immigration reform bill. But will that be enough to break through the Republican blockade in the House?
Illinois Congressman Luis Gutierrez has been working very hard to push immigration reform through the House and joins us now live from Chicago, along with Voto Latino CEO and President Maria Teresa Kumar, who's also an MSNBC contributor. Thanks very much for both joining us. Congressman, let me start with you if I can. I know you and other Democrats have been working very hard, traveling around the country, trying to draw some GOP support for this bill. We're hearing you're convincing some folks, and we actually heard yesterday from Tampa Congresswoman Kathy Castor that you've got enough votes. So is that true? And if so, are you able to get this bill to the House to take advantage of those votes and that support you've won?
Right. You probably remember we began building momentum and inroads and support in the Republican caucus of the House of Representatives when Paul Ryan came to visit the Blue City of Chicago, in which we held a town hall meeting together. And he has been consistently in support of comprehensive immigration reform, and we've grown. And so whether it's Valadao out in California or Webster in Florida, we see increasing support. And there are many other, as we know, members of the Republican caucus that are ready to vote. Look, the question isn't whether or not there are 218 votes. There are probably 235, 240 votes for comprehensive immigration reform. Maybe not the Senate bill, but for comprehensive immigration reform with a pathway to citizenship and a broad pathway to legalization. That exists. This new Hastert rule that, let me see, there's 234 Republicans, so 118 members have to first agree before 435 of us can vote. That's pretty anti-democratic. But as you suggest, I'm going to be out in Virginia in Goodlat's district, and I'm going to be this coming Sunday. I'll be with Keith Ellison in Minnesota. The movement out there is growing. It's strong. It's broad, and it's very deep. And it's not going to take no for an answer.
Congresswoman Castor also mentioned that business is weighing in. And in full transparency, I have to say I work for a company that is very much in favor of comprehensive immigration reform, yes, to really to jolt the U.S. economy and also have the labor that we need for a lot of the jobs, especially seasonal jobs. So with that, is this business weighing in making any kind of a difference, Congressman?
Go
ahead.
Oh,
I think it's a huge difference.
I think it is.
We both agree. I think the fact that you are seeing unlikely bedfellows, you are seeing the Chamber of Commerce, you are seeing SEIU, the labor unions, you are also seeing the evangelical movement flexing their muscle and saying, hey, America, let's have an honest conversation. We need this immigrant labor in order to be an economic force, not just here in the United States, but globally. And the Marriott, the hospitable industry that you serve, they are so reliant on immigrant labor. It's critical, not only to ensure that they are affecting tourism, but we also are talking about the millions and millions of dollars of tourism dollars that we are actually diverting outside of the United States because tourists are deciding to go elsewhere just because the immigration system is so difficult and so broken that it's hard to get simple tourist visas.
Congressman, why don't you weigh in on that?
She's
Are you hearing the
right.
business community affecting this?
They are participating. I sat down with Mr. Donahue of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, with those in the high-tech industry. We're in conversations with them daily. They are advocating for comprehensive immigration reform. Maria's absolutely right. You have the Chamber of Commerce and the AFL-CIO. But you got the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times editorializing. But interesting, too, you have the growers, the major growers in America, right, reaching an agreement with the United Farm Workers. So you see people who haven't always gotten along and people who are really coming to the middle and compromising. The only place we haven't found that willingness to compromise and to reach a solution is in the House of Representatives. But you know, we're making some breakthrough. I want to thank my Republican colleagues for stepping up. We need more of them to continue to do the same. I know the Democratic caucus is ready for a vote. The majority already exists. What the House of Representatives and what the Speaker has to allow is simply for that democracy to flourish. And yes, we must make the economic. But, you know, Saturday we're going to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington, a March on Washington that allowed me to be a member of Congress because it gave us the Voting Rights Act. And I'm a member of Congress because of that, because people, but you know what? The message then was about justice and fairness and freedom. And we also have to understand there are human lives at our stake. And my Republican colleagues and all of those who are standing in the way of comprehensive immigration reform are really standing in the way of stopping deportations, of really this crippling of our families, this devastating effect of people dying on the border. Our people want freedom. They want justice. They want fairness. And they want an end of the exploitation of this permanent underclass. We have to end the permanent underclass, and we have to allow them to join all of us in our great American democracy.
Let's talk politics for a second. Hard politics, Maria, and you know my politics. I'm trying to figure this thing out. The congressman was very smart. He said you got about 230 votes for it right now. Well, that means you're not getting 200 votes you're not getting. And I bet almost all of them are Republicans. So one reason why those Republicans are against it is the way the map is put together. I've been studying this thing. There's 232 congressional districts, much more than a majority that voted for Mitt Romney in the last election. The way the districts are, because the Republicans love to flood the minorities, flood the zone, get all the minorities in certain districts so they can then grab the white or Anglo districts 80, 90%. These guys and women who are Republicans represent Anglos. They represent non-Hispanic people who are Republicans. They're voting their districts, aren't they, when they're voting against comprehensive reform? I'm just wondering how you're going to break that reality. You can say the House of Representatives, but the way the House of Representatives is representing people, it's representing conservative people. That's my thinking, and that's your challenge.
I think, Chris, this is actually, you're absolutely right. The biggest problem is that you have roughly 87 Republicans that are Tea Party candidates that come from districts that are 79% white. The majority of the Democratic representatives, they're normally roughly less than 70% white. It's much more diverse. And so what we have to figure out is how do you basically break that 87% district hold that basically says we don't want comprehensive immigration reform. But what the congressman is absolutely right. This is definitely a moral issue. When we start going down this plank and basically saying, look, we don't want to provide a pathway to citizenship, what we're saying is that we want their labor, but we're okay with indentured servitude, but we never want them to vote. That's incredibly undemocratic. And when you're looking at the Republicans who want to regain the White House, they recognize that because of the Democratic changes, they're going to have to change their tactic for the Latino voter. And one way to signal to the Latino voter that they're welcoming them is by passing some sort of comprehensive immigration reform.
I think you're morally
right. And I think,
anyway,
Chris, we're going to make two arguments. Obviously, we're going to make the demographic argument, right? 50,000 Latinos turn 18 every year, and yes, they're all citizens of the United States, and that's only going to continue to grow. And this is a very important issue to us, but moreover to Asian community and to a broader American community. We've won the argument on this issue, on its merits. And look, the Republican Party can decide if it wants to be a party of provinces and states and localities, but it will never be a national party ever again.
Right.
They can't win Colorado again.
Right.
They can't win New Mexico. They can never win nationally in this country. And you know something? There are smart members of the Republican Party who also
that map and the way those congressional districts are allocated
that are ready to sit down because it's the right thing to do also.
That's your argument.
They're ready to do it for both reasons. And we should continue to make that argument. But moreover, I just want to say, look, when I sat down with Paul Ryan, what did he say? He said, Luis, let's do it. You're Catholic, I'm Catholic. Right? It's against our moral values to have this permanent underclass. That is very important that we continue to speak to the issue, to this issue at that level also, because that's going to help us break through. So let's make the moral argument, the justice argument, and we have a good political argument to make also.
Best of luck, sir. Thank you very much, Congressman Luis Gutierrez. And, of course, Maria Teresa Kumar.
We'll be right back.